Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Here we go. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot. This is the place, once again, where the conversations are pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. And today we have the beautiful Anna von Zinner from Australia. Brains, have you ever really wondered what it took to put together a great piece or body of literature? You know, writing your novel, writing your memoirs, or even having someone be a ghostwriter and write it on your behalf. The synergy and the camaraderie, the relationship that you build with that person because they're actually helping you craft your story. It's amazing. And that is what Anna's specialty is. She has a publishing house. We're going to talk about that. And she also has an online offering. So without further ado, let us welcome our guest today, Anna von Zinner. How are you, beautiful?
I'm great. Thank you so much, April. How are you?
I can't complain about a single thing. Actually, I'm writing my fourth book. I'm in the middle of it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I like quick, fun reads, things that you can read while you're sitting on the throne, so that you can be relaxed, but you write all kinds of genres and you help people really craft their narrative. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started, writing and being a publisher.
Well, I'm not actually a publisher. I work with publishers,
Okay.
but I am definitely a writer. I started writing, I don't know, a long time ago, a long time ago, so long that I can't remember. I'm definitely a reader because, as you can see, I've got books all around me. My mother told me that I started reading at 3, and
Wow.
as soon as I knew how to read, and that was it. Yeah, that was the end of the story. I was off. So I think reading and writing, they go hand in hand. You need to do one to do the other. To do the other well, to write well, you need to read because reading gives you so much. I started, would you believe, officially as a proofreader for an advertising house back in 1986. And we used to proofread the advertising for real estate. Wasn't that
Oh,
boring? Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
that's a pretty dry read. That's a pretty dry read.
It was incredibly boring, but it paid well because we did that reasonably late at night. So we got a shift loading and all of that good stuff. And they sent us home in taxis and can't complain. So that was my
Wow.
start. Yeah, a long time ago. So
Well,
since
proofreading and editing is paramount. People need to understand that it's great to have a great body of work. And I've seen some people that have gotten in collaborations, work with some publishers, and then the book came out and it wasn't up to their standard. The editing was not right. There was all these different fonts. They were lost in the narrative. They didn't work really with the editor to speak their truth or their voice into it. And there's a lot into that. People, you have to understand that when you're in print, there's nothing worse than having bad grammar, having poor punctuation, or if your editor doesn't know your nuances, your slang, your snarkiness, your jokes. You have to communicate with them because it's the credibility lies on you. Am I right, Anna?
absolutely, it is so important to meet with your editor and just talk, just chat, just talk, just like human beings, not as a meeting, but just talk. And this is so the editor gets to know who you are. And as you said, know all those nuances of you so that when they are reading your work, your voice comes through. And
Mm.
the other thing that you need to talk to your editor about is who you're writing your book for. because your editor will make sure that your words and your sentences and your grammar and everything work for your audience, for your reader. And when that all works together, your books will fly off the shelf because you're hitting your market.
You are, but a lot of times individuals don't understand that a publisher is not a marketer and is not a seller. You still have to be responsible for the push through and the selling of your book. Your publisher helps you get that piggy to market, but you still got to get that sucker on the auction block and sell it. And I can say that because I've sold 22,000 copies of my book out of the trunk of my car. I didn't go through any online retailer. I didn't go to a brick and mortar retailer. The hustle is real. Everyone doesn't have that chutzpah. Everybody doesn't have that moxie and the nerve to say, hey, here I am. But it is your body of work and you have to sell it. What are some suggestions that you tell people on the sell through of their publication?
I tell people, take a box of your books everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, because you never know when there's a chance. Well, here, have you got a copy of my latest book? Only $22.95 for you. A dozen, you say? Here, let me give you a dozen.
Exactly.
So, and the other thing is, there are local bookshops. Approach your local bookshop and say, hey, is it okay if I set up a table outside? You sell the books, I'll sign the books. Off we go.
Absolutely. You can have online virtual book club parties. The first book that they read is yours. You can have an online book selling. You can always reduce the sale to move volume. The amount you might knock off $3 or $4. But if you're moving volume, 10, 15 books, that's better than the book sitting there looking at you. Donate your book to a local library so that you are in their index and their roles. Have online, not competition, can't even think of what I want to say, contests where people can win the book, get to meet the author, be on podcasts, but you have to promote that. Okay, we just gave you like 10 great ways for you to push through on the book. In anthologies, people get lost in an anthology. And that's a collaboration and a body of work. What would you say to a person that's wanting to join that group, that collaborative?
I would say yes, do it, because it's a great way of finding out if you really have it in you to be an author and if it's really something you want to do. Because an anthology is only usually about 2,000 words instead of 40,000 words. And once you commit to 40,000 words, it's a hard slog if you don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Who are you looking for? Who's your ideal client to work with?
Oh, gosh. Somebody who has fire in their belly and is excited about what they're writing about and has some fun about them and, sees that their message is important. And I have a client at the moment. He is a fantastic man. He's in India and he is about natural health. And he is so excited about what he does. Oh, he's a joy to work with because every week he does a chapter and it's ready for me. And, and I get it and I read it and, I do the editing and I learn so much because I don't know all about this stuff, but he writes in a way that engages my interest. I mean, it's not perfect. That's why he's got me. But I fix it up for him. And when at the end of it, he's going to have this fantastic book that is going to be, it's going to be a bestseller for sure, for sure.
So that's one particular genre. What other genres do you work in? Do you do fiction? Do you do memoirs? Do you do autobiographies? Technical writing?
I don't do fiction. Fiction is really hard. Fiction is really, really hard because fiction is written in loops. So you tend to open lots of loops at the start, and then you've got to make sure you close those loops along the story. And I get lost. So it's not my thing. But nonfiction, memoirs, I love memoirs. Oh, so interesting. Books that tell me something about people, that tell me about something that you have done, something that interests you, something that that you are doing to make a difference in the world, how it's made a difference to you, and how you are using it to make a difference to others, they're fantastic stories. They are fantastic books.
Are people converting a lot of their books to audios as well?
Some are, not all. I mean, it's a personal choice. I
Wow.
can't say that I've seen a lot of the authors that I have worked with do it, but there are other authors who love it. So it's a personal choice.
Yeah, and it's ease of use. A lot of people want to download the books now, listen to it in their car, when they're traveling on vacation, riding on their bike, walking the dog, what have you. They want to have that ease of use that they don't have to be visually attached to text to a book. But there's nothing like the intimacy of curling up with a book. I tell you. I absolutely, yes, the feel, the
The
smell,
smell,
asking someone,
oh,
yeah,
it's the
asking someone in the house, have
smell.
you seen my book? And then how you feel when you get to the end and you don't want it to end. What are some great tips that people really need to consider? Maybe three when they're writing a book.
Make sure you know your reader. That is really, really important. Know who you're writing for and make it one person so that when you're writing your book, you can go, what would Jeff think?
Mm.
How would Jeff deal with this problem right now? And that way, it helps you to write your book. It helps you to have that focus. The other thing is make a book map, and that will make such a difference. And that is where you plan your reader, you plan what is in your book, so that when you are working through your book, you never get stuck, you never procrastinate, you it's just a smooth ride. And you just think, oh my gosh, that wasn't so hard. What do they all complain about?
Right. So it's pretty much a template or an outline.
Yes, yes. And you have created it.
Okay. And what's the third thing?
The third thing is be committed. Be committed to writing your book. And that means finding a place to write at a same time every day for a set time every day.
Mm,
And it's that commitment that will get you through writing your book.
yeah,
It
that
doesn't have to
commitment
be long.
and consistency.
Exactly.
Consistency is what makes the cake rise.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because
It
when
can
you start this project, you have a deadline with your publisher.
exactly. Oh gosh, yes. It can be 30 minutes a day, but as long as you do 30 minutes a day every day, the book will be done in no time.
Mm. What should people consider when they're looking for a cover? Sometimes I see color is everything. It's eye catching. Fonts are everything. Sometimes people have too many, it's too busy. Uh, what are some of the suggestions when you talk to your people about selecting a cover?
I say make sure it relates to whatever your subject matter is. Don't make it so way out that, when people look at the cover, they don't get what's inside. Because I have to admit, I am somebody who buys a book on its cover.
Yeah. And you can never judge a book by its cover, right?
Well, that's what they say. And as you say, don't make it too busy. Let people have some imagination about what is inside as well. If it's too busy, it's people are just going to go, oh no, that's just too much, too much, too much.
Right.
I was always taught white space is good space. And so that even when you've got a colored book, the color around your image, as you can see with this book, it's
Right.
got the purple color all around the image. That is good space because it gives you a chance to think about what is inside.
Right. And gives the eye an opportunity to rest too.
Exactly.
Because the cover can be so exciting and then you open it in the inside and you're like, oh wow,
Yeah,
what's all
yeah.
this about?
Yes.
Uh when people endorse other people's books, they write the foreword to them. Is it supposed to be flattery? Is it supposed to be a reflection of the content of the book, the character of the writer? And I guess it's different for each book, but how would you structure that? Someone asked me one time to write a foreword, and I was so confused. I looked at some templates, but it really didn't speak to that individual. It was confusing.
Yeah, the forward is usually it usually is flattering about both the book and the author. It's not too long. I wouldn't do more than 500 words because otherwise, you give away the whole book and you may as well not buy the book. But it should be something that leads the reader into the book. So, something that says this is a really good book. You will get something that you'll get 1, 2, 3 points out of it. And so is a really fantastic writer, and that will lead you into reading the book, and you'll feel happy about reading the book because, okay, the person who has done the foreword is usually somebody who has some standing, somebody who has some
We call it street
importance.
credibility. We call it
Yes, exactly.
receipts. You have to have receipts. You got to be able to prove it, brains.
Exactly. Somebody that is admired. And so you've got to think, okay, if so and so thinks this book is really good, then it must be good. I'll read it.
Okay, perfect, perfect. You've had some challenges of your own to overcome. You shared with me that you had had a stroke and you are looking absolutely fabulous. I would never known it, but there was a fear that came up and surfaced from that. How did you find your courage? How did you recover? And then how did you start writing?
Well, when I had my stroke, and that was in 2013, so it's oh gosh, nearly 9 years ago now. But it it was a time to make a choice, and I could have made the choice to lie on my chaise lounge and go, "Oh, woe is me." But I'm not that sort of person. I made the choice to not let this be something that destroyed me. I just took things slowly. I started by doing a small thing and a big thing every day.
Mm,
And the small thing might be washing the dishes, and the big thing might be walking to the end of the driveway.
mm,
And both of those things were very, very tiring, but I did them until I could do them comfortably. And then I moved on to the next thing. So by doing that, I was back at work for 6 weeks after I had my stroke.
mm.
So yeah,
Yeah, and you're
not full
very, very
time.
fortunate. Yeah, and strokes and women and heart disease, it is just running rampant.
Oh yeah.
And, a stroke can be debilitating in so many ways, paralyzing speech, your vision, your
Yes.
mobility, your cognitive thinking, a
Yeah.
lot. So, I'm so glad that you're able to still use that muscle called the mind to write.
Yeah.
So, you've written personally, what, 4 novels?
Oh gosh, I wish. I wish. No, I'm a co-author. I'm one of those dreaded co-authors. I've been in 4 co-authored books, and that is enough for me at the moment. I
Okay.
find that with working with so many other authors,
Hmm.
I don't have time to write my own stuff. But I write little bits and pieces along the way. I do posts on social media every day, so I get to write every day to keep that muscle going,
That's right.
that writing muscle, and I enjoy that. And the book will come. The book will come.
And take your time. It's like giving birth. You can't rush it.
There
It
is no
comes when
rush.
it comes. So, do you have the anthologies that you're a part of there with you?
I have some here. I've written in 2 of the My Voice books. Now, these are books that are written by women around the world, and they are incredible. They talk about, well, what women have overcome to achieve what they have done. And they are amazing books. And I've just finished editing the 4th volume, and that will be coming out in March. So these are 2 of them. I was in the first one and the third one. So
Now, put those back up again one more time. Brains, okay, now I want you to look at the character here of the book. You see how it is indicative of a woman? You see how you have all of these different shades and variations of women incorporated in the cover? That's punch and power because it takes a minute for the eyes to focus. It really speaks to the voice of a woman. When you see this, it gives me an idea. So think about that. The colors are beautiful, they're soft, they're pastel. Women like pinks and blues, and it tells a lot about the story and the possible content. Thank you so much for that. And I think that that's really, really powerful. So, what are some of your inspirations for your own personal writing? Where do you go? What do you do? What sparks your interest?
Well, I have to admit, I'm a voyeur. I listen to people and I
Mm.
look at people. I like to, I used to catch the train to work before COVID, and I used to, listen to people and I'd watch people and I'd sit there and I'd do my knitting, and they all think I'm doing my knitting, minding my own business, but I'm real, my ears are flapping, listening to the conversation, and I'm looking at what's going on. Oh, and one day I had this guy sit down next to me one day, and there was nothing unusual about that. But then he got his wallet out of his back pocket and he took his wedding ring off and put his wedding ring in his wallet. And
Ah,
I'm thinking, what are you doing? We're on the way into the city to work, right?
right.
And I'm thinking, oh, I so wanted to ask him. Oh my God, I so wanted to ask him. But of course I didn't, because, that would have been rude. I
Right,
wanted,
right.
I
But
wanted
this
to
but the
know.
suspense that built up, and you're wondering, why did he do this? You could have written a whole chapter just behind
Exactly.
that and the response that you got. You know, maybe
Exactly.
he was
Exactly.
willing to answer, maybe he wasn't willing to answer. It's always the curiosity, it's always the what if. Creating the characters, the storyline, what they look like, how they relate to one another. It's a very delicate dance to write a book. Do you do technical writing too? Do you help people that are, business minded? They're
Oh,
writing
yes.
books. Okay. And so,
Yes.
what's a good tip for a business book?
Oh, do your research,
Hmm.
and do it well. Always reference everything. Don't say something is yours if it's not. That's a biggie,
Mm.
because you will get caught.
Wow.
And
No
then there
plagiarism.
is, yes, and then there is just a bucket load of trouble.
How do they get caught plagiarizing? There's so much information out there. I mean, there, like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. It's just how you package it and how you deliver it. But I
Sure.
don't understand how people get caught. I understand copyright, because I'm a
Yes.
poet. I had to get on a couple people. They stole a couple of my poems, and one of them was going into song lyrics. I get that, but when maybe they've read it somewhere before, I don't really understand how these people get caught or get away with it.
They usually get caught because somebody reads it and they go, I've read that before. I think
Mm.
that belongs to April. Let me just go and check that book. Oh, that's April's. I'll let April know.
And I will get you, brains.
And
I'll
that's
pull
how
out
it
the pointer.
happens. Yeah, that's how it
Mm.
happens. It's usually somebody, and it doesn't have to be somebody will read something of yours in a book and say, I know that doesn't belong to you, that to that person who's saying, I'll let the real author know that I have seen their work elsewhere, and they take it from there.
And copywriting, be sure that your work is actually copywritten once you produce it. I mean,
Correct.
you can prove, you just need to be sure that you date it. Uh, you have to prove that you are the original author of that particular content. But get an ISBN number. Here in the United States, we have the Library of Congress. You can send a, downloaded copy to them, have that time and date stamped in the event that someone might want to write a movie and use your book. They would have to give you your royalties and your rights. Don't give up your intellectual property, brains. That is your book. Now, when you write a self-published book, from my understanding, it's hard to get a publisher to touch it because it's already been circulated, it's already been distributed, and they are lending their name to a body of work that they haven't substantiated. Am I correct with that?
Getting a big publisher to publish any book is difficult because they have such high profit margins that they need to meet. It is unlikely that they are going to touch most people's work unless you are a proven author, and unless they can make at least a 50% profit on what you're doing, they're not going to go for you. It's really, really hard. Yeah, from my experience, it's really hard.
Wow. Okay. Well, see, Brains, that's why I ask these questions because it's important for you to know. We don't want you to be discouraged, but you can be encouraged if you have the right information. Yes.
But there are plenty of publishers, small publishers, who are happy to publish your work and who are happy to put it on Amazon for you. And you get all the royalties. But don't think you are going to be able to quit your job. Okay.
Right.
Because the reality is, unless you are a Stephen King or a J.K. Rowling,
I was just thinking of JK.
you are not going to make a huge profit. That's unless of course you are out there selling your book.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And selling it to multiple distributors.
Yes.
Sell it to the audio. Maybe sell it to a theater group. Maybe pitch it to a movie producer.
Yes.
Short stories. Maybe you want to do it on a podcast. There's a lot of different ways to get your work out there, and you have to be consistent. You've got to be pushy. There's millions of authors.
Yes.
Millions of authors.
Be creative in your thinking, and don't give up. If it doesn't work once, it doesn't mean it's not going to work the next time.
Mm-hmm. And people like gamification. They like imagination. They're tired of the same old humdrum 1, 2, 3. Make your character from outer space. About the power and the punch. You know, being excited about your own work and never giving up on it. I told myself, if they're still selling the Bible, I'm still selling mine. It is brand new to the person who's never read it.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter whether it's a fiction book or a non-fiction book. You can be as excited about both. You can be jumping up and down on the spot about a non-fiction book as much as a fiction book.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, like I was saying, describing characters in different ways, maybe from outer space, maybe from underwater, maybe from a child's perspective. Maybe if you're writing something that's very heavy, you know, sexual abuse or mistreatment of animals, put a different spin on it. Make it engaging so people will want to go from page 1 to 100 and get excited from 100 to 200 and be sad when they get to 300. Because that's what it is. You're taking them on a journey. A lot of people get captivated by reading. It can transport you into another place and time. So think about that when you're a creative writer. Wouldn't you agree, Anna?
Absolutely. Reading for a lot of people is an escape. Writing for a lot of people is an escape. It is about relaxing and taking people away from the normal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so, in this particular time in our life, everybody is abnormal, except for you and I. So, thank you so much for all of your valuable information, Anna. You are amazing. Please tell my brains how to get in contact with you. They want to work with you, they want to follow you, they want to purchase your anthologies and wait for you to be the breakout author that we know that you are and be the next J.K. Rawlings and come up with a great book. How do they get in contact with you? Wonderful.
Okay. I have 3 ways. I have a LinkedIn site, which is Anna von Zinner, easy to find. I have an email, bookannanow@gmail.com, very easy. And I have a website, www.bookannanow.com. www.annavonzinner.com.
No,
Very
no
easy.
AU, just .com.
No, just .com.
Okay, Brains, I want you to go in, love, like, and share this interview because we've given you, I'm looking for my postcard, sorry. We've given you some valuable information on how to be a creative writer, how to sell through, how to work with a publisher, to be sure that you have good editing, be sure that you have good content, and that you are excited about the birth of your baby book. Thank you so much, Anna, for being here on the edge with me and my brains. Brains, I want you to go right here. You see this? I want you to see this. This is the place where the conversation is pointed. So go in and love, like, and share this with everybody in the planet, everybody you know. There's somebody out there that's about to write a book and they're going to need a publisher or a ghostwriter. Well, not a publisher because she works with publishers. But what she can do is help you get your information and your content right so that you can submit it to a publisher. Is that right, Anna?
Correct. Correct. Editor extraordinaire.
That's right. Okay, do it, Brains. We're looking for the next great novel here on The Edge. Thank you, Anna.